What's up, guys? It's your boys Wokey back with another Chris Watts Nichol Kessinger video that you guys have been highly asking for since yesterday. So for me, it's part 2. For the video that we're watching, it's part 4. I know it's a little jumbled up, but we're making it work. So grab a chair, get comfortable, because we're about to unmask Nichol Kessinger with the channel Unmasked True Crime. If you guys have not gone over to her channel, go over there, give her some love, watch her old stuff, watch her new stuff. You guys get the deal. But this is the 4th interview on August 21st. For me, I'm kind of getting confused up in the air because the certain interviews that she had, some of them are over the phone, some of them are in person. So it's kind of, I thought there was only 3 interviews, but the phone interviews are included as well. Again, you know me, if you guys haven't watched this before, I highly think that Nichol Kessinger was involved in some shape or form. Again, my opinions, my theories, all for educational purposes only. It's not for defamation on her part. I don't care where she lives or what she's doing right now. I just want her to be interrogated properly, hopefully one day. So that being said, before we go any further, again, subscribe to my channel by hitting that wiper icon down at the bottom right. Hit that bell icon next to it. So when I do post videos like this one, you guys will get that little ring notification that I've posted that video. And then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, thank you guys so very much. We're on our way to 100,000, say 10,000. We're already past that. 100,000 subscribers, and I need your guys' help. So with that being said, and without further ado, let's get into the video. 4th interview on August 21st.
Hey guys, it's part 4 of the Unmasking NK series.
Okay.
In addition to going over this phone interview, I'm also going to incorporate some of the new stuff that's come out as far as the missing chapter from the
I know there is 5, 6, and 7 of Nichol Kessinger. So if you guys want that, let me know down in the comments as well.
letters from Christopher book pertaining to NK. I'm also going to include our opinions on July 14th due to the response that we got from part 3. So this will be the 4th interview plus some bonus material. We try to steer clear of conjecture for the most part. However, you'll notice we bring up some of the same points in each part as they come up again and again across these interviews. In this part, I will throw out a few theories that we have. However, as always, we're here to present the information for you in a consolidated manner so you can decide. The entire purpose of this series is not to accuse her of anything. We know that there are so many agendas going on and lies being told that it makes getting to the bottom of things very difficult. The purpose of this series is to try and point out some very questionable pieces of information and dive deeper into the inconsistencies and the contradictions. We have the DA on this case saying that it's not a witch hunt and that they stopped investigating her when Chris pled guilty. Our ultimate goal is
just think if he didn't plead guilty or if he didn't confess. Just think what would have happened.
To know that at least it was investigated. So that right there, coupled with the fact that there are so many lies and contradictions and things that were covered up, it just makes people continue to wonder even a year later, and it just feels unfinished. So regardless of how much time has passed, and
we're about to hit 6 years here in the next couple weeks, and it still feels like it's not finished.
That Chris is in jail, people still feel like they need the full truth. And had the full truth been told from the beginning, things may not have gone this far, and people might have moved on in some ways or not be as focused on others. But as we know, many steps were taken for the exact opposite. So, I mean, my sympathy only goes so far. So let's start with the phone interview between NK and Agent Kobach on August 21st, 2018 at 6:45 p.m. Agent Kobach sounds like he's home from a long day at work and making some dinner in the background at some points and mistakenly thinking he's going to get some new information that's useful to the investigation. NK begins the...
And I've said this how many different times. What she says in all these interviews, including the phone interviews that I've been listening to here and there, none of what she says helps this case in any shape or form. her coming forward at her own volition did nothing. She didn't come because of her own volition. She came because of not stupid, but Anadarko came forward to let them know that, hey, Chris Watts was talking to this girl, and she was like, crap, they're going to know about me. Let me see if I can go in and try to fluff this up a bit and make it look like I'm a victim too. Chris was playing me like a fiddle too. Like, shit. I've listened to these interviews over and over, and I still will do it. None of what she says helps in any shape or form. None of it. They already know everything that she says, and what they're trying to grab from her, she just reroutes, keeps going over by here, down here. They keep asking about here, and she's up here. They ask over here, and she's up. She's all over the place.
Call by asking Agent Kobach the name of what, quote, she sold. He tells her that it's called Thrive. She then proceeds to throw some shade at Shanann by saying that she never understood it because she doesn't understand, and this is a quote, how people who are living sedentary lifestyles and have poor diets were losing so much weight on it. The next part, which is almost comical despite the situation, is that apparently at one point Chris tried to sell her the Thrive patches and she wasn't having it. And then she tells Agent Kobach.
So that apparently puts that to bed, that she had searched Shanann up for health benefits, as in Thrive Lavelle, because she wanted to better her immune system and her energy. So apparently there are the people that were supporting Nichol Kessinger, stating that she was looking into Shanann a year before because of Thrive, but Chris stating that he was trying to sell her the patches, and she denied. That puts that to bed.
Fact that she's not even trying to lose weight. She doesn't need to lose weight. And so she wasn't interested. Something I've noticed listening to these so many times is NK always starts out the interviews with a very sullen, depressed tone. And within about 30 seconds to a minute, it's completely gone and she's back to her normal self.
Perky.
She talks about how much weight that Chris has lost, and she knows the exact amount. It's 13 pounds, I believe, and she has the exact dates of the time that he lost the weight. And she then implies to Agent Kobach that he was doubling up the patches, and she's not wrong here that he was wearing 2 patches, but I did talk to some of my friends who use Thrive, and Chris was wearing the DFT Duo patches. That particular line has 2 patches, so she may not have known that, but he was wearing them properly. This next part is interesting.
So for those people that kept saying out there, oh, it's the Thrive that made him, he took those chemicals and he overdosed on them and he went crazy. They're supposed to go together.
For a couple of different reasons. The first time I ever read Discovery a year ago, this stood out to me as well. When she mentions going over there and setting up his MyFitnessPal app, and it kind of fits together, again, it's all pieces of a puzzle, and you've got her version and his version, and then you've got the Discovery, and you have to, like you do with everything, you have to figure out, because they both lie.
And unfortunately, there's not a lot of information in the Discovery of NK. Fancy that.
What fits, which version of the truth fits. If you remember from the other videos, NK had gone on a birthday trip to the mountains, and I believe it started on June 29th, and then she says she got back on July 3rd, which is her actual birthday. And Chris did not have to work on July 4th. He had the day off. So he stayed the night at NK's house on July 3rd, on her birthday. And the next morning is the morning that he woke up and he had 10 calls from Shanann. Shanann was pissed, and he went in, and NK was in the shower, and he said he had to go because Shanann was mad. And NK, this is according to Chris.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and a lot of people other did too, is that notice she's having a heavy coat on while calling in March, we call March as better possible. I don't know what that means, but she was wearing long sleeves. She was wearing kind of like a vest. And we're talking about like 80 to 93 degrees outside, man. Who wears that?
that NK, this is the first time, she got really mad and she didn't want to come second and she didn't want him to go. So she did her first little test and kind of said, well, then fine, I don't think, we should spend the rest of the day together. And Chris, being Chris, was like, okay, and left. Then according to him, she showed up at his house later that day. One thing that's always bugged me about this is she can't remember how she entered the home when she went over.
Like, you go through the front door or the garage, and usually the garage that was the only people that went through it was Nicole, Shanann, and Chris. Everybody else went through the front door.
Over there on the 4th of July. I think she says that she thinks she went through the front door, but I always wondered why the camera didn't pick her up on the 4th. So she goes in, she sits on the wet carpet because he had just, if you remember, he just cleaned them. So she's allegedly sitting on the wet carpet, putting in his app, and I'm sure from what we've heard from her, know of her by now, and what Chris has said, I get, it stood out to me at the time that she wanted access to his phone. And she's openly stated to investigators that she would check his macros when they got together.
Oh, yeah. The baby set her off. I guarantee it.
So
because she said she wanted to give Chris his firstborn son.
They were together every day, she could have easily had access to his phone daily. Was she checking his texts? Probably. Deleting or answering any texts? We don't know. But it's definitely possible. So now she's put herself in their home multiple times, in Shanann's vehicle once, but the details around that, in my opinion, are very murky and suspicious. And now she puts herself having regular access to his phone, which I find really convenient, especially with the doll pic. Agent Kobach jumps on the fact that she brings up July 4th and going over there, and he wants to iron out dates, and she's trying to keep talking about the app and the diet and the fitness and what she was trying to do for him. And
she was almost like trying to set him up with a dating app, or not dating app, but a diet app as well. Like, oh, you should try it. Makes yourself better and stuff like that. And like, what?
There's it back to trying to verify exactly what dates she was there and for how long. And it doesn't sound like she wants to talk about it. And it doesn't sound like she's being truthful about her answers.
4th was the day that I went to his house and sat down with him and asked him, how much do you weigh? And he asked me, can you just look at my macros and see how much protein people my size would usually eat and all that, and just asked me to glance at it. So that's why I went over there.
So that's when you say his house, that's his house in Frederick that he shared with Shanann.
Yes, that's the one that I told you guys I went to on the 4th, and that was why I went there, was to sit down with him that morning of the 4th and just discuss his goals, and again, I'm not a fitness trainer, so he already had an idea in mind. He was just asking me, can you just glance at this and tell me what you think, since you pay such close attention to these things. So anyways,
I'm going to ask you, I think I already asked you and we discussed this once, but July 4th was the first time you went to his house, and then I think you said the following Monday or Sunday was the second and final time you'd been to his home?
I will have to, it was a Saturday, and I'll have to look it up. It was either hold on, let me pull out a calendar. I really just want to,
gosh. When were you there?
That's July. So the 4th, and then that weekend, I think, and I will double check this, but I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact I was at his house on July 4th, and I think the second time I went to his house was Saturday the 14th.
Okay, and those are, if I remember right, you only had been there 2 times, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to go back. After that second time that I was there, I don't want to house. If you want to hang out, come to my house. So the 14th was the last time I was there.
Okay.
But back to this, so the Thrive thing. So I was...
He don't care about the Thrive thing. She just blowing smoke.
I was kind of concerned that he was losing so much weight, but I also wasn't, because he was kind of fine-tuning his diet.
What does this have to do with Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico?
But it was enough for me to look at it. because I was like, well, I mean, it wasn't like a severe weight loss, but it was kind of fast. So I was like, okay, well, are you getting enough calories? What's going on? And I couldn't figure it out because he was eating, and it was like healthy proteins. And
you cannot tell me this man is not like rolling his eyes, sighing, or whatever have you. If he's not, then he
vegetables, and he was eating a decent amount of food, and I'm just like, how is this man losing so much weight? And then I started thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, oh my God, it's because he was like doubling up on all the Thrive stuff, and he was starting to eat really healthy. So that, I think, is
so did you see a change in him personally during that time from July 4th, or pardon me, July 4th to August 11th when he lost that kind of weight?
Exactly.
What did you say? What was the question you asked?
Did you see a lot of change in him? Like, not physical change, but was his personality different, or was it just the weight loss?
No, it was just the weight loss. Like,
Okay.
I didn't think he was any different. But this is the one thing that I wanted to point out to you guys, was that he was always this way. I just want to state that right now. Like, this was not something that started at any certain point. But from the first time that we started hanging out, he always had a ridiculous amount of energy. And it wasn't that he was like super high strung and bouncing off the walls. It was that he could stay up. He like didn't need to sleep. And
Like when you texted your friend Charlotte that you guys could do it all the time, and that he's like a locomotive. Why don't you add that in there, since you want to BS about all the bullcrap you're already talking about?
he was always that way. Like when we would hang out, oh my God, I would try to get him to go to
But then when she discusses it about Jim or Charlotte, she's like, oh, I barely remember that.
bed at like 10 o'clock every night. I'm like, if you're going to stay here, you need to go to bed at like 10 because I have to get up and go to work in the morning, and so do you. And he would keep me up like every night. And we usually, I would say, I mean, it kind of fluctuated, but typically I would say that we went to bed somewhere, when he stayed the night at my house on those nights, somewhere between 11 o'clock and midnight every night. And it used to bug me because it was like, I was so tired.
What time did you wake?
Go to bed.
What time did you usually wake up?
It kind of depended on the day and what I had going on at work, but I would say in between 4:30 and 5 is like a pretty accurate assumption of when I'm supposed to get up for work.
Okay. All right.
So, I mean, and then so what I would do is I would go to work all day, and then when I would get off work, I would sleep. I would go home and nap, and my naps varied in time. Sometimes it was a half an hour.
Don't care.
It was like whatever my body needed, and then I would get up.
But yet again, D.A. Rourke, she came at her own volition and gave us all this information about her napping?
And I would go to the gym, and then after I got back from the gym, he would come over my house, and it would be the same thing where it was like he would keep me up. And I will tell you, without those naps, there's no way I would have been able to keep up with him. No way. And another thing about that too, and he was always like that, always. And it used to, I could tell like his body wanted to sleep, but like his mind couldn't sleep. And the reason that I say that is because he sometimes I would see him, like, he would keep me up. So I'd be like, all right, well, like, let's watch a movie, if you want to hang out. And so we'd be up, and I'd see him, like, doze off, and then, like, wake right back up. And, like, doze off and wake right back up.
Okay.
And there was a few times that we were having a conversation, and he would be talking to me. Kevin, he would, like, fall asleep mid-sentence and wake up, like, snap. Yeah, and he would, like, snap out of it, like, 5 or 10 seconds later and keep talking right where he left off.
That's weird.
Yeah, it always, like, blew my mind. I was like, this guy must really like me if he is, like, avoiding sleep to be with me. And it was like, I couldn't do it. Like, I napped probably almost every single day after I hung out with him.
Right. Okay.
Honestly, it was like he was on speed.
Shut
She
up.
then jumps to August 11th. Any day she makes it a point to bring up indicates, in my opinion, that there's something to cover up. He tells Agent Kobach about the Anadarko gift cards Chris always used when they went out to eat. And if we remember from the other parts, she's already told him this information. They've already had this conversation. And this is a common thing she does. The things that they talked about during the long interview when her dad was there, all these points she keeps calling him about or stuff. I mean, there's some new stuff, but a lot of it is stuff they've already gone over. And you can kind of sense his frustration. So she eventually tells him, after she's explaining the gift card thing, she starts out by saying she doesn't know if those were gift cards or not. But then when he kind of gets her to be more specific, she says, well, no, she does know that they were gift cards because she saw them. So it's just...
Who cares about what gift card they used? Like, we're talking about stuff that is not important. What did they talk about in the lazy dog? What did you do when you came over to his house? Those 2 times you came over. What did you do the morning of the murders? Where is your alibi? Where were you, Nicole? No. What kind of gift cards were they using? Like, what kind of questions? And then they're like, oh, NK's okay. She came at her own volition. Like, if... like, the more I hear this, the more I'm just like, what were they doing? Like,
It's confusing when she does that. It's almost like she's just trying to find something to talk about or keep in contact with him and kind of feel him out on some topics. And then...
well, I bet she was feeling him out.
It's just... that's the impression I get through almost all of these phone call interviews. Part 5 is different. That one has a lot of interesting stuff, but on the phone calls, it almost seems like she's just trying to get...
you guys want part 5? Hashtag part 5 down in the comments.
kind of a read on him. So she again tells him that she thought it was odd that she watched Chris pull the baby blue credit card out of his wallet and use that to pay on their lazy dog date of August 11th. He then tries to go back to her previous assertions and prior interviews that they hardly ever went out. She tells him he's mistaken and they did go out sometimes and that she has those dates for him. She says to Agent Kobach that she's not sure what Chris was thinking. She can't even begin to think like that man because he lies so much. She again brings up the fact that Chris could always speak to her so freely on the phone and that she never saw any signs that he had to hide anything. And she keeps going to this as this proof to Agent Kobach that, well, I thought, everything was that they were split and done. And the proof is, she keeps going to this, see, look over here, he could talk to me and she never interrupted her. He didn't act like he had to hide our conversations. Well, obviously, this comment always annoys me, as because we've spoken about in almost every interview, she's fully aware that Shanann and the girls were in North Carolina for 6 weeks and whole time. So obviously he could speak freely. And when they weren't at work together, they were usually just, outside of a few hours after work when he would work out and she would work out and all that stuff, and he would eat dinner and take care of Dieter. They would be together. He starts talking about the dates that they went out and that she's written them down for Agent Kobach. And just, in my opinion, for someone who's clearly not stupid and researches and observes every detail of things, she's quite forgetful on certain parts.
What she decides.
In an effort to be somewhat objective sometimes when I'm making these, I really do try to put myself in her shoes as much as I can.
I don't want
and I think, all right, well, I'm ADD, I'm really forgetful, but she doesn't strike me as that kind of person, especially in the line of work she does as well. She seems very detail oriented and controlling and micromanaging. So,
because he knows he messed up. When I was reading this, why did he say several times, if I only went to the Rocky game? He knows if he would have just went to the Rockies game, that night with her probably telling him, this is it. You better do something or we're done. And he should have went to the Rockies game because he knows deep down that it was wrong what he did. Does he care? No. Does he care he got caught? Yes. That's why.
If I put myself in her shoes, and I'm sure you guys could do it too, if something this huge and traumatic happened, you're not going to not go, oh, wait, August 4th or July 4th? Or wait, did we go out on August 11th? oh, wait, I'm on the wrong month in my calendar. You know that August 11th was a Saturday. You know that August 12th was a Sunday.
You have a phone.
First of all, we're only about a week out. And second of all, these dates are going to be burned in your brain. So right there, she, to me, shows her hand in all these.
They're burned in my head because, one, I watch and listen to this stuff every day. But two, this was 6 years ago, and yet I remember what happened. And yet she don't remember, and this was a weekish afterwards?
Forgetful of the dates. She knows exactly and has it all written down.
Agreed.
What dates were when and where they went when.
But on Sunday, I think it was Sunday the 5th, I think.
July 5th?
I think.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. I'm glad that you're paying attention to this. Yeah. So July, I'm going to start at the beginning.
Okay.
So I went out of town for my birthday. I came home on July 3rd, which is the night of my birthday. On the 4th of July, I went over his house in the morning and helped him with his meal plan thing. And then after that, I went to the 4th of July Rockies game with one of my friends.
Yep.
And then on the 5th, I think it was the 5th, I don't remember, we went to go see a movie. And we went to the movie theater that is up by that lazy dog, I think, on 144th.
You remember what movie?
What movie did you see?
That new Jurassic Park movie. I don't know what it's called.
Okay.
And I remember we got there, and the first showing was sold out, I think. I don't remember. I think
if she can remember this stuff, why can't she remember the other stuff? Come on.
either we were going to go see another movie and it was sold out, or that one was sold out. So when we went up there to start with, it was sold out. And so we left, and we went and walked down to these benches that were right across from the Victoria's Secret. And I don't know what corner of the building that would be on. If you guys need me to go up there and try to figure it out.
You can just hear him writing, and he's probably playing tic-tac-toe with himself, because he's just none of what she's saying is doing anything for me. So I'm just going to play tic-tac-toe, Sudoku, or Hangman by myself.
Oh, well, I'll figure it out. That's okay.
Yeah, and we sat in these benches, on this bench under this tree, and just bullshitted until the next showing of the movie. And then we went to the second showing of the movie, and it was really late. I want to say it was 9-something.
PM? On the 5th.
And I want to say, I don't even want to say it's Sunday, because I feel like it was not Sunday. I don't think it was my birthday, though. I don't know.
Matter?
Okay. I don't know. I might have all my dates mixed up. If I have all my dates mixed up, just...
That's okay. You're getting us close.
You'll find it. Okay.
Not even close.
Then, let me go back to... No. I was looking at August. That's why the date sounded weird. It was either the 6th of July.
I know a good emote for this. Don't.
So Sunday the 6th? Pardon me.
No, I think, because that's what I'm saying. I didn't think it was a Sunday. So it is either Friday the 6th.
Okay.
Or Saturday the 7th of July. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong calendar. So because I remember that was our first outing. That was our first date, and it was the weekend right after my birthday week.
Okay.
So it had to have been, either probably the 6th or the 7th. And then we didn't go anywhere again until the next weekend. And that weekend, on Saturday the 14th, that's the day that I went to his house, we went up to Boulder, and we went to the Shelby Mustang Museum. So that was July 14th.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went up there, took a tour, and then after that, we left. And
Do you remember what
we
time
went
that
to
would have
his
been?
house. That we left?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, what time do you think you got to the museum?
I'm so antsy because I'm just like, I would have been like, can you give me something that's actually, I would have literally, if I was Kovac, I would have literally sat there and told Nicole, I would have been like, do you have anything that's actually worth anything? Because everything you give me is crap.
Oh, God, I don't even remember.
Morning, afternoon, night?
I think it was pretty, like, decent time in the morning. I bet you we got there at, like, 11 or so, because I remember it took us probably, like, an hour and a half to walk through it. I think it's a small museum. And then after that, we were going to go to lunch in Boulder, and then we decided not to. And then we went to his house, and I dropped him off because I had picked him up to go to the museum. So I dropped him off at.
You're driving your 4Runner?
Yeah, we drove my 4Runner all the time. I told you I was only in his vehicle one time, and I think it was like so he could go get gas or something. Like everything, all of these adventures were all done in my truck.
Okay.
Adventures?
So then we went to his house, and we were over there for a little while, but then I was just like, I don't really want to be here, so I left, and I left him there. He didn't go with me.
At his home?
Yeah, like I left him there.
Okay.
So let's pause here for just a second so I can discuss July 14th as we promised from part 3. As you just heard, NK says she picked Chris up in the morning and went to the Shelby Museum and that they got there around 11 a.m. on the 14th. And that is all accurate. If you look at Discovery, we can get a pretty good timeline of what they did that day. During the interview with her father present on August 16th, which is part 2 of our series, she tells investigators that on July 14th, she went to Chris and Shanann's house for the second and final time. She tells them she saw a picture of Shanann and the girls, and this is when she allegedly told him to work things out with Shanann. We know that she also told investigators that she was walking through their home, looking at their pictures and their stuff, and that she was kind of assessing their things and commenting on how nice everything was. She admits to being in the basement that day, and she also admits to going upstairs and seeing the girls' playroom and comments on their books. And Chris corroborates that on his version as well. Their versions pretty much line up for that day, which is why I think that it probably happened the way that they said. It's just she happens to leave out a lot that Chris fills in. Despite what she says, there's no way that I believe she did not go into every room in the house. I don't believe for a second that she did not go into the master bedroom and check out absolutely everything. So if you put together what NK says, what Chris says in letters from Christopher, and then the discovery, basically the picture that we're given of July 14th is this. They get back from the Shelby Museum, and he's making them something to eat, and she's playing with Dieter and kind of running around with Dieter, and goes upstairs, and that's when she sees the girls' playroom. I'm sure at this time she's walking around, looking in the bedrooms, looking at pictures, and getting angry. So you can bet she went to check out the sleeping situation, and she says that she went down and looked at his bed in the basement and his workout area. And I'm guessing she did that first because then she goes upstairs with the dog, and that's how his version goes. And he doesn't really go into detail, but we can put together pretty intelligently that she went through all the rooms, looked at the pictures, and he says she comes downstairs and is very upset, and they get into this argument, and she says, "What the F are you doing with me?" and just kind of has this flip out. I also suspect that at this point, obviously, she knew that Shanann was pregnant, and he was still possibly not being open with her about it. I do think that this is just my personal theory, that this became part of the argument on July 14th.
I agree.
As we've said from the beginning, I think it's pretty obvious that she knew Shanann was pregnant. With all the public Facebook posts and people talking openly at work and congratulating him since June. So I don't necessarily know if she and Chris had talked about it, but I do think that that happened on the 14th. She's walking around the house. Maybe Chris didn't think about the fact that there probably were some clues that Shanann was pregnant laying around. I know that she had while she was in North Carolina, she bought some baby clothes, but I'm assuming she might have had some baby stuff out or baby books. Whatever it is, I do think that set off this argument on the 14th. She also puts in her September 4th notes to investigators that she was upset. She brings up the eHarmony app for the first time, and she says she was upset that Chris had taken all of the respect and trust out of the relationship. She's already been there before. She knows Shanann is living there. So you have to wonder what about this time made her so upset. She also admits to asking Chris that night if he and Shanann were actively trying to have a baby and being upset and leaving. Yes. And Chris vouches for this and says that all the same stuff, and that she leaves out the part where he talks her back in and they lay on the couch together. But it all ends the same, that they end up later on that night back at her place. They try to have sex. They start talking about what's wrong. And she tells him she wants to have his first son. So if you put all those pieces together, obviously there was some baby talk that night. Take it for what it's worth, but Chris also says that NK did not want to have kids, or told him that at least. And then that night she randomly pops it on him that she wants to have his firstborn son. They had a huge relationship-changing fight this night. They both say so. And I think this was the night that it was determined Shanann and the girls had to go. NK leaves their house around 4 p.m. and he talks to her on the phone her entire drive home. He then briefly talks to Shanann. And then Discovery says that at 6:14 p.m., Chris gets online and researches that green stone dioptase, I'm probably completely butchering that, for nearly 2 hours. To further back up my theory, I'll go over...
You looked at a rock for 2 hours?
For some of his activities the next few days.
Boy.
The next day, Sunday, July 15th, Discovery shows us that Chris spends quite a bit of time taking multiple pictures of their basement from different angles. He also makes a 20-minute call to Vivint, their security company. On Monday, July 16th, he talks to Shanann for maybe 5 minutes, and then he takes pictures of flowers at work to send to NK. He's looking up touch-up paint for her. Pretty much he's spending his time looking things up for her. Then on July 17th, which is also Cece's birthday, he talks briefly to Shanann in the morning, and then he does go out to an area, it says in Discovery, an area near Rogan, and I've been out there multiple times. There's nothing out there besides one gas station. I do understand that there are multiple service sites out there on this ranch, but, think of it what you will. He goes out to near Survey 319 and takes a bunch of pictures of that area on his personal cell phone. He also takes pictures of his new work boots that day, which is a little strange. It's almost like he's either doing it to send to someone or possibly he's just journaling it for himself. I don't know, but he takes pictures of his new work boots, and they're identical to the ones that are found in the trunk of Shanann's Lexus during the investigation. Also, if you'll remember, his coworkers said that they noticed the day of the murders out at Survey 319 that he was wearing his old work boots, even though he had gotten the new ones. Then on July 18th, as usual, he talks to Shanann briefly in the morning, but this is the first day that he starts putting a ton of the pictures of NK into the secret calculator app. And you can see right here
look at how many images, and we only have like 10.
How many pictures, just a ton of her in just various states of undress, it says, and pictures from their vacations. So it appears to me that after July...
I did hear too that there was a possible sex tape. I don't know how much validity that is, but I heard that there might have been some. Ugh.
July 14th, he's actively taking steps every single day towards planning the murders and beginning a life with NK. She then goes on to talk to Agent Kobach about July 21st when they go to Bandamere Speedway to watch the races. She tells him that Chris drove down to her place and they carpooled from there because she never went back to their house, but I believe that she went there after work on July 18th. And really quick, here's her cell phone records, and you can see that on Saturday, July 14th, when she drove up from North Glen to Frederick to pick him up to go to the Shelby Museum, she pings in Frederick when she gets there. You can also see that she rarely, if ever, pings in Frederick. Keep in mind,
the morning of the murders
area, so I think that gives me an advantage here as far as figuring out where she's going and what she's doing in these days. And if you're watching this from the Denver area, you can see what I'm talking about. I know exactly, the distance between Platteville and Longmont and Frederick and Broomfield. I drive it all the time. So looking at this, it looks like on July 18th that she leaves work around 3:20 p.m.
So this woman knows her stuff.
And she's talking to Chris on her drive home, which seems to be the pattern. She either talks to Chris or she talks to Jim on her drive home.
Either or.
And it looks like that last call at 3:44 p.m. starts in Longmont, and she's talking to Chris, and it's 14 minutes. So right before 4 p.m., the call's done, and there's a 38-minute gap. And that's more than enough time for her to get back down to where she lives in North Glen. So to me, it looks like from looking at these records that she's coming down south from Platteville, is talking to him on the phone, stops at his house for, somewhere in 30 to 40 minutes.
This kind of validates right here when she goes to his house. She pings in Frederick, Colorado, and the morning of the murders, it pings in Frederick, Colorado. So it pretty much just validates that she was at the house the morning of the murders.
His house, she tries to call him. It goes to voicemail, and then she continues her drive south, which would put her passing Broomfield and Thornton. He calls her back 6 minutes later. They talk for 11 minutes, and then she calls Jim, and it pings from Broomfield, which is pretty much right on target. So she continues her drive home from work, basically. So it seems pretty obvious to me she hung out there for some period of time on the 18th. Why does that matter? Only because it's another lie. And then if you keep going through her bill and you go through the rest of July, including up to July 31st when he leaves for North Carolina, you can see through all these calls, there's a lot of calls. She doesn't ever ping in Frederick again.
Because she doesn't go to his house.
Of the murders at 6:16 a.m.
Because she doesn't go to his house. This validates it 100% that she was there the morning of the murders.
The weekend of the 21st. And this is how you'll know if my dates are lined up. I would base it off of this date and work your way backwards. But this weekend I went to Vandermeer Speedway with him. And I went and saw, I think it was called the Mopar Mile High Nationals. Mm-hmm. It might have been called Thunder on the Mountain. I don't know. It was the drag races, though. And it was Saturday the 21st.
Okay.
And we were there, the majority of the day. I think we got there, early afternoon, and we were there till it ended, pretty much.
Was that late in the evening?
Yeah, those things go pretty late. It gets dark.
Okay.
Yeah, and we hung out there probably for a while. I think we were there for a little while. We ate there, so that's where we got.
So you ate lunch there?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Tacos.
We don't care what you ate.
This is a really good bar, by the way. Yeah, so we did that, and then we went to Vandermeer, and then I don't know what we did after Vandermeer. I think we just went to his house. I'm almost positive.
Oh, I thought you didn't go to his house again.
After that, because it was pretty late.
Okay.
And then on the weekend of July 28th through the 29th, we went to the sand dunes. We went to the Great Sand Dunes National Park.
Down in Alamosa?
Yes.
July 28th, 29th. Did you guys stay anywhere?
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Where did you stay?
Oh, we camped.
Okay.
We camped. I don't remember the name of the campsite, but if you, just let me go through probably, my old phone nav or, go through just the internet and try to look up campsites, I can probably come up with the name for you.
Well, let me ask you this. There was some attachments that, when I was looking at some of your phone stuff today, although very limited, there's a man with a backpack. He's got a beard. He does not look like Chris to me in your photos. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, is he a little heavier set?
Yeah, I'd say he's a little bit bigger.
Yes, that is my friend Jim. That is the one that I was with on the Monday and Tuesday of last week.
Okay. So there is some photographs. You mentioned the museum, the car museum. I think I remember seeing a couple photos of cars, and it didn't strike me as anything then. So there may be a little bit more on your phone than what I think. But there is definitely no photos of Chris. And I don't remember seeing any pictures of the sand dunes. But so did you camp inside the national park there?
No, it was outside. I think we camped at Zapata Falls. I think that's the name of the campsite.
Yep, Zapata Falls.
Zapata Falls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's before you come to the you turn off 160 and you're going towards the sand dunes, and then you turn off and kind of go up a 4-wheel drive road to Zapata Falls.
Yeah, that was like really gnarly one with all the switchbacks and the rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
There. And so we camped there.
Was it like an established campground, or was it just dry camping?
Who cares?
No, it was an established campground. There's a campground up there. Like, you hang that left to go to the Zapata Falls Trail, and then you go right, and there's like a big campground loop.
Okay. So that's where you guys were there.
Yep.
All right. Keep going.
Or not.
We went to the sand dunes, not the first day, so we got there fairly late on. How did I do that? How did we get? No, that's right. So I need to think about this. I really need to think about this. Saturday, we got there, we set up camp, and then after we set up camp, we went to
He's walking around.
So you went and hiked the sand dunes?
Yeah, we tried, and I just remember it was super windy. Oh my God, the sand hurt so bad. It started raining. And we stayed even though the weather was bad, because there was like nobody up there. And so we did that for most of the afternoon, and then we came back to the campsite, and I showed him how to light a fire, because he'd never done it before.
He'd never lit a fire.
No,
They're
he's
literally
never been camping before.
hanging with
He's
each
never
other.
been camping before, and I was like, well, if you want to go, I'm trying to go to sand dunes, so that's why we went, because he said he'd never done it.
Okay.
So we...
Did you guys visit any? There's not really very much stuff around there. There's no restaurants or anything in that area.
No.
So.
No, we did stop at I think it's called like the Oasis or something. It's like this little, it's like on the way to the dunes. It's not in the park, but it's like on that road that you take to get to the dunes. And it's almost like a little gas station. And we stopped there and we rented a sandboard to go sandboarding on. And I think we got more ice for the cooler, and we got firewood for.
So it's like a gas station.
I like to re-up on ice every time I go
paid for
camping.
it?
He did.
Okay. Did you think you used the
Why does it matter about wood?
debit or the gift card again?
Probably, because that was the plan in the first place. He was just like, well, hey, I've got these gift cards. If you want to use them, you don't even have to spend any money, and we can just use these. And I was like, well, that's great. So I remember for the trip, I filled up my gas tank, and I paid for gas, and I bought a little bit of groceries for the cooler. And then he took care of, like, the campsite and the board and the firewood and all of that.
Okay.
Like, I didn't actually go into that Oasis place, I don't think. I'm almost positive I didn't go in there. He did. I got in line for the board. I remember that. But their like little board rental shop is like outside of the building.
As the interview winds down, the last thing that she has to talk to Agent Kobeck about is the calls between her and Chris on the night of the murders, Monday, August 13th.
Again, I just keep telling you every time. You when you remember things, just call me and we'll get it down. All right?
So what? She can talk your ear off for the next 2 hours?
Okay, yeah, and I hope you guys pull cameras and all that, because, like, I'm trying to help you. I'm really, honestly disappointed that you guys don't have all my text messages or don't think that you do. Like, it makes me sad. Like, I want you guys to have them. Like, you need them, and it's frustrating to me, but it's like, I'll just tell you everything I know, and we'll go from there.
That's right.
Hold on.
I cut out the end part because the last part of the interview is just her rambling on about saying she has a point about Monday night, but it turns out there is no point, and you can hear Agent Kobach is wondering what she's talking about. She's stumbling over her words. There is no point. You can tell she's basically repeating herself over and over about how he initially told her that this person wanted the separation and then it changed but there's absolutely no point to the investigation, and then the interview cuts off. And as most of you know, last week Sherilyn Cato, the author of Letters from Christopher, was on Dr. Oz, and then she was on some other creators' platforms talking about what Chris told her more in detail about the murders and what Chris told her about NK in the missing chapter. So I listened to all she had to say, and it was definitely interesting. Again, this information, though, is coming from Chris. Chris lies like he breathes, so...
Yeah.
And clearly someone's feeding him and has been feeding him all the information from social media. Of course, he said that NK was and her friends were into quote-unquote dark things, that she was in a cult.
In the basement taking
That
pictures.
he said was about the cleanse that she would give him, and that he would feel strange after drinking it and be able, kind of fall asleep and then wake up and carry on a conversation, almost like he was implying that she put something in the cleanse to make him almost in a hypnotic state.
So with that being said, guys, with the information that we just got here, it pretty much gives us 100% guarantee that she was there the morning of the murders, because her phone pinged the times that she was at Chris's house or went to go see him. Her phone pinged, and the phone pinged that morning, and so forth like that. Out of a 40-minute video, that's what we got from it. If you guys saw anything or heard anything that I missed, let me know down in the comments. If you want part 4 or part 5, the video of my part 3, let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So keep it real, keep it safe, and as always, keep nerding on, and we'll see you guys next time.